Hi, Danny.
Hi Luke, how are you doing?
Not bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
So I've got with me now You are the managing director, aren't you, Danny?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Managing director of Hull City Ladies, who's very kindly agreed to be on our podcast. They've sponsored us right from near the beginning, so obviously we're very grateful to Danny and all the support that City Ladies has given us. And obviously we've got Danny on for a chat. So Danny, thanks for joining me.
thanks, Luke. Good to be here.
And I just wanted to start really, mate, by asking just a little bit of the background of City Ladies and how your involvement came about. So, like, how long have you been there and how did being involved with City Ladies come about?
Yeah, it's been some journey. So I've been involved now for just over 6 years, probably 6.5 years to be more precise. And it was me coming back from playing in Ireland. Obviously, I'm Hull born and bred, and I got a request from an old friend of mine. Would I come and do a training session? And I was sort of like, well, women's football, not sure what that's about. I'm still sort of playing. I didn't know what my future looked like. So I was still in training myself, just ready to find a new club, really. But then that conversation then soon quickly turned into, well, can you come and at least meet with us for a coffee? That's when I got introduced to Rachel Gay, who was running the club at the time as manager, and she'd been there for 2 years at that point. I think they'd merged with Hull City Ladies had merged with Beverley Town, which again Rachel had involvement with, and yeah, we met for a Costa in Beverley. I remember it well, and enticed me in, and that turned into one training session. One training session turned into a month and seeing out a season, and then that turned into, being head coach and sort of developed into my role today of owner of the club and general day-to-day management of it, really.
So that's quite mad that you've gone from like just ad hoc, oh, can you just do a training session for us, to then taking over as manager and then taking over as managing director. It's quite a journey, isn't it?
It is, and I think that's what football does, and I think that's the beauty of football is that, my intention was genuinely just to give something back to the city and to football, which has been, really good to me over the years. And that's it. It can change overnight. Once you're involved in football, it can lead you down different paths. And this one is, it's ongoing now, and I've got my teeth stuck well into this new role, and we keep developing year on year. And next year is coming up to our 20th year anniversary, so I recognise that there's been, plenty of volunteers and plenty of people involved with the club prior to me, in my 6.5 years of that 20 years. But I think we're at a level and a place now in women and girls football where it's just a huge industry and probably the fastest growing sport and business in the world at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, just a bit of background then for people. Obviously, people listen to the podcast, for both City Ladies and for City Men, but it's crucial to kind of put across there. And I think when I've met with you on different occasions, you've kind of made it quite clear that even though you go by Hull City Ladies, it's not affiliated with a men's club, is it?
No, that's right.
So how does that work? Is it a completely separate business model? There's no kind of involvement with the club at all?
Yeah, well, when I first arrived at the club, like I say, 6.5 years ago, it was at the back end of a season, and I used that sort of 2 or 3 months just to get used to knowing all this information, finding out that there was only one senior team when I was expecting, a reserve team and a youth system, and I was very naive to what had come out of and what I was stepping into. And I think that was a case of then finding out who will lose the owners of this. And with all due respect and Rachel did a fantastic job of at that time in developing and pulling different people in, and how she grew it. She just wanted to make sure that they got onto the next level because she knew they had the talent there and players, and that was where obviously came in as a coach, and soon quickly, found out from Rachel that we did have a soft connection with the men's team, and that was through sponsorship. The sort of clarity on that, though, it was almost, it was the Allams that were obviously owners now, and that were supporting the club, and they put a small amount into the women's section, which allowed us to compete really. I think as we grew there and in coming seasons, and we got promotions and things, and that's when I sort of was setting this like a 5-year, 6-year plan at that point, and was saying, look, we're going to get promoted out of these leagues. I had full confidence in the players that we had, that they were too good for the level that they was at. And as we grew, it was a case of having a conversation. So me and Rachel went and sat with the owners and had a discussion. But at that time, it was really difficult because I think as we was growing, the current situation with the men's club is that they was going for a name change.
Yeah.
With that going on, obviously, we was in the local media spotlight at that time, because we weren't yet nationalised, but and we was getting sort of backlashes and things about the situation, what was going on, and a lot of questions asked. So again, there's two different ways of looking at what happened next in terms of them pulling out of support and sponsorship of the club, and one of them is obviously the name change. We're getting a lot of backlash and stuff, or secondly, they just didn't have the understanding or time of day for what the women and girls were doing in football. So yeah, I think I've summarised it there. We sort of our independence. So we at that point we was the league below, so we was tier 4 that we'd just got into, and yeah, we made that breakaway. So it was a question then about, well, where do our funds come from and how we're going to survive and make them steps to the levels that we want to get to. So it was a complete restructure, and yeah, that's when I looked at other models that had been carried out of independent clubs, and just had to approach it from a real business sort of point of view and a strategy in place to allow us to get them funds to compete really. And yeah, I think at that point in time, it was hard, because if people would have asked and said, look, do you need the men's club in support and what you're doing with the women and where you want to get to, I would have probably said, yes, we do need that. However, we fast forward sort of 3-4 years, and where we are now, I think, don't get me wrong, I think we'd always have a conversation, always happy to look at embracement, however that may look like in men's and the women's game. But currently we're a standalone, and we've got some really fantastic supporters. So then, our main sponsor, who's been with us now for the past 2 or 3 seasons in Walls Engineering, they've been really, really good in terms of understanding what we're trying to achieve, and they've been on hand. So I think at the present time we're looking to expand, we're looking to drive forward to the next tiers of football, and we want to embrace local businesses and organisations to propel us in that direction before we sort of stretch out sort of more nationalised and worldwide sponsors. Would rather try and keep it local if we can, but the future's exciting, and we've got some really robust plans to share in the upcoming future.
That's great. I mean, just maybe some information for people who maybe be aware of the City Ladies team, but maybe don't know an awful lot about it. You are in tier three of women's football, aren't you? Which is what, Northern? Is it Northern Division?
It's the National League. So obviously, it's the equivalent of where the current men's team is. If you look at it like that, but above us is the pinnacle, which it'd be the Super League, which is equivalent to the Premier League. Then you have the Women's Championship, which again is similar to the Men's Championship, and then you have the Women's National League, which we're in, which is equivalent to League One. We're the highest competing football team in the region, really, and it becomes more niche that with it being a women and girls side as well.
That's it. I mean, this season so far, obviously, am I right in saying that Adrian Costello is the manager and he started for this season? Is that right?
Yeah. So it'll be a year in January now. So it's coming up.
He came back end of last season, but this is his first full season, isn't it, in management?
Yeah, if we can call it a full season.
Well, it would have been a full season in normal circumstances, I suppose.
That's right.
But...
So we've known Adi for years now, and obviously we rewind back to last season. At this level, it's a tough league, and it gets tougher every season, and as the women games develop. But myself and Rachel, we had an honest discussion with each other, and it was really refreshing actually, and it just showed the strength of our relationship, in terms of what we want best for All City Ladies and the players, and our personal relationship as well. We're very good friends, and we had an honest discussion with each other just before Christmas and looked at our current situation, where I was in the league, and it just needed freshening up. So we almost sacked ourselves, really. And I got news that Adi had just come back, because we know Adi well, over the years from being at the York RTC and support and coming down watching the girls and the players compete match days. So I just heard that he'd come back from managing in Sweden, which he had a really successful spell at, and it was a case of just pulling Adi in and having a discussion and seeing what if there was any interest, really. So myself and Rachel went and had a coffee again at Village Hotel, where we meet on match days, and it stemmed from there. And thankfully, he wanted a new challenge and something that was more local. Obviously, having been abroad for a number of years, he wanted to be back with his family and more local, and he wanted a challenge, and this certainly was a challenge. So I felt sorry for Eddie because he didn't really get going, because I think he joined in January there, and then, as we know, COVID sort of kicked in March. The fixtures that we had at that time, with the weather and being called off, he really didn't get a good run at all. So it was sort of really stop-start. So I think that has been the story this season as well. So he's had a full year, but
not really as many games as he'd have liked to manage, I would have thought.
That's right. And to be honest, you can see the work that's being carried out, just with not only with the players, but in terms of the staff and what he's trying to implement, and he's very competitive, and you can see that in the players, and it just it brought a new dimension and refreshed the playing squad that we had. And since he took over, he's enhanced that. He's brought a few girls in. We've got a young keeper that was at the York RTC and England international, and he's worked with these players, and he's not scared of putting them in. If they're 16, 17, he'll give them an opportunity. So and on the other end of the scale, you've got your sort of more senior players that, they've just bought into everything that he's sort of doing. And yeah, we're really happy with where we're at the minute.
Because obviously, you got, like you say, you've got a mixture of youth and experience throughout the squad, and you've had quite a few good results this year so far. I know that we've had a shutdown of the league and everything, just as lower league football did, but there's been some promising performances, haven't there, in such a competitive league this season so far?
Oh, absolutely. We start the season and we're away at Middlesbrough, and you think,
yeah,
crikey, we've had 6 months off. Again, due to coronavirus from March till September last season. So preparations and where the plays were going to be at, it was an unknown, and we went away to Middlesbrough with confidence. I know certainly the staff and AD expected to go down there and, really compete and get something from the game. And, for many outsiders and Middlesbrough, I think, expected to see the whole City ladies that, from last season, and maybe a walkover as such. But no, the girls were fantastic that day, opening game, and we drew 1-1. And if not for probably the best save I've seen since I've been involved in women's football live, the save that the Middlesbrough keeper made in the 93rd minute, last kick. Our striker Beachy, her records incredible, goal scoring records. She pulled it out of the top corner. It was unbelievable, but we only came away with a point. And would we have took a point before we went? Yes, we would. But as you watch the game and you see how it unveiled and the effort from the players, we've probably deserved that to pick up the 3 points. So then, yeah, we went. We knew then the following week we'd be up against Sunderland, who have been at top of the table previous season, and again, fantastic squad, fantastic team, and so we was hosting them at home, and again expectations, and they were big favourites, but we managed to get the victory, and that sort of really give us impetus for the next few games that we would manage to play. And the plays, you could see an air of confidence about them. They had a swag about them all of a sudden, and it was really nice to see. That 2-1 victory against Sunderland just showed that they can compete with the best of them, and when you've got youngsters coming through as well now, and they're getting opportunities as well, it really is. It's really exciting to see where it can take us.
It's such a kind of so much more developed than it previously was. I think coming away from a top team like Middlesbrough and being disappointed with getting a point, as opposed to what it may have been to like 1 or 2 years ago, it's testament to the work that everyone's put in, really, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. There's so many people doing so many good things. Let's say we've got the on the field staff. AD's got there. There's AD, Andy, Paul, Tommy, Dan, Josh. Yeah, I've probably missed a lot off there because I know Tommy's got an analysis team, and he's got about 4 or 5 in his team alone, and that's what we've got. That's what we've created over a length of time, is that professionalism. Even though we're not professional, we'll carry out and we will perform like we're already competing at that level. That's part of our goal, is to be at the next level. And where do we see ourselves? And if our goals aren't scaring us as players, as managers, as owners, then we're not going to compete. We're not going to get there. So, like I say, there's even off the field. We talk about this 50% on the field and 50% off the field. We know Blackburn, they've won this league a couple of seasons ago now, and they're competing the Championship level now in Tier 2. And they won this league for 3 seasons on the trot. They didn't get promoted until the 3rd time, having won it, 3 years on the trot. And that was because they was ready on the field, but they weren't ready off the field. So that again comes back down to my decision making and sacrificing and doing things that you maybe don't want to or you don't like in order to achieve a greater success. So it was a case of bringing somebody in that we could trust and that had that ambition and the drive, and we've got that in AD, and he's superb. He's more than qualified, and we've spoke about what he's brought to the team. So it's about us now off the field and making sure we have everything in place over the next few seasons now to not only to get there but to make it sustainable as well. But just going back to the games as well, it's like even the last game we played was the 25th of October. I'm moving into games at the minute, and we're looking at a restart. But the 25th of October, we played away at Nottingham Forest again, another top team who've been in.
I was going to ask you about that one because I think that finished 2-2, but you were 2-0 up, weren't you?
Yeah,
you'd really shocked them.
To the 90th minute, we was 2-0 up.
Yeah,
and again, because of COVID restrictions, I was following it at home, and I was so anxious. I remember it really well. I was in the front room, and I was pacing up and down, and I saw it go to 2-1 in the 90th minute. I think we was down to 10 men as well at that point because of an injury, and we'd made the subs, and then they equalised probably last kick of the game, last minute, and finished 2-2 after Beachy and Emily, again, two experienced players had us 2-0 up. But listening to AD, and I spoke to him after the game, and listening to the rest of the staff, and the feedback that we got was incredible. Again, would we have took the point before? Yeah, we probably would have. But again, it was just the fact that we had, I think it was on the day, they did the stats or something. I think at one point, I think they said that every player on the pitch, they had an average age of something like 20 years old. And really? we had a 16-year-old girl playing at centre back who was making a first team debut.
What game to be thrown in?
16-year-old, keeper in net playing at this level for the first time, and they all, they didn't just, just play the game and get carried through by our other players. They actually really stamped their authority on the game, and again, you've got players like that getting that sort of experience. It's frightening to think about. 20 years old, what the future holds, if we keep these players together, which they have a really tight bond, all of them, and what the future holds is just, it's scary. It really is.
I mean, one of the other things I was going to ask you about was there's a couple more things I was going to ask you about. Now I'll wrap up, but one of them was the move back to Haworth Park, because last year you were at North Ferriby, weren't you, at the Dransfield? And I know now that you have a partnership with Hall Road, so I wondered if you just talk a little bit about that to start with.
Yeah, well, it's something that we're familiar with, being at Haworth Park. We played from there for a full season back when we got promoted to Tier 4, the tier below where we're at now. We played there because of the requirements and stuff for the standard and level was playing at. We needed to be there, and it went really well. And then through partnerships and whatnot, we moved elsewhere after that. But yeah, that just showed our growth, and it was a big move to go to North Ferriby first and foremost last season. And the guys down there, I mean, I met with Les Hare, the chairman, and he was fantastic in accommodating us. The supporters down there, they love the football, and they really came out in force to support the Hull City ladies as well, whilst we was based there. And it was a really tough decision. I think moving into this season, and certainly coming out of last season, which we didn't complete, and we had plenty of home games left. I think over that Christmas period that I mentioned earlier, I think it was 120 days plus that went by before we had a home game. That was just, again, due to fixtures, due to weather, various factors. So we had this backlog and catch up on home games and things, and it was really, really difficult. And we was due to play them obviously down at North Ferriby, and we was really looking forward to what we had planned. So match days where we create a family environment and inclusive for families and men, women, children. It's a great thing to have down there, and facilities down at Ferriby. The pitch as well was remarkable. So yeah, we had everything set up, and speaking like this, you think, well, why would we move with all that going on? And I think it came down to a few really, really tough decisions. There's the financial element, which again, North Ferriby were really good, and Les was really good at trying to work with us on that front. And I had an honest discussion with him, and it was not just the financial; it was an accumulation of things. There was that. There was also we're Hull City ladies, but we're playing out Ferriby. So it was important, and we talked to sponsors and committee members and even players about being back in Hull, and that was important to us. And then I think it's the bigger picture of where what we're planning, what we're going to be doing in the future. So yeah, that and there was an opportunity, like I say, to go to Haworth. I was familiar with it. There was pros and cons to the decision, but it's one that at the time it was it going to work? Is it not going to work? But thankfully, at the minute, it's been great. And Darren and Dave down at All Road and have been fantastic in accommodating us. And we've got signage up there. We've had staff chipping in and painting stands, and I think it was the hottest day of the year back in the summer, and was all out with paint brushes, myself included, which I think I've only just about recovered from. It's been great just to be back in Hull ultimately, I think, and it's a real shame what's happened this season. I think many clubs are struggling at the minute, whether it's grassroots, semi-pro, whatever you label them up as, because without fans and supporters coming in and being able to watch the game, from a club point of view, it's so important to have them. Not just for the feel on the pitch and the players feeding off them, but that couple of pounds that they put behind the bar. They've got a great bar facility down at Haworth. To be able to just do that, to pay on the gate to get in to watch our players, the standard that they're performing at. It's money well spent, and I think it's just a shame that we've lost them at the minute down at Haworth. And we had a real we've got a really good marketing team, and we had some really exciting stuff planned. But again, all of that has been put on hold just because of the current situation that we're in. I know certainly the players missed the supporters being there. That includes, the family members, the friends. We were targeting new supporters because I'm fully aware that, the men's game and stuff, there's people who maybe have this idea, and it's something that I keep questioning and keep asking people is that, you might go and watch your men's football, but what about coming to try and watch the women's football? Why wouldn't you? What are you looking for that we can't provide? And I've had many discussions, and the only thing that we can't do is probably provide that stadium feel. There isn't seating down, around the pitch. But other than that, as you know, Luke, you go to non-league football. Sometimes it's more intimate. There's fans and supporters that know and can connect with these players. So we know what our strengths are, and we know what we've got and where we want to be. And we just, I just can't wait to get back and get supporters back in Haworth Park and watching these incredible players compete.
Well, you kind of went on to the next point I was going to ask you about, which was the lack of fans, because obviously the next game that you play is the 13th, which is Sunday coming, isn't it? Loughborough Foxes, I want to say. But I mean, it's behind closed doors, isn't it? So, are there any plans? Do you literally have to wait until we're out of Tier 3 before fans can come back to Haworth Park to watch City Ladies, or do you have any more information about that if people wanted to come down and watch?
Yeah, so our next game is, you're right, is the 13th of December, Sunday the 13th against Loughborough. There's 12 teams in our league, and we're currently in 10th position. We've only played 6 games, won 1, drawn 2, lost 3, so we sit on 5 points. The 2 teams below us, one is in 12th place at the minute, is Loughborough. So again, there'll be an expectation that we'll pick up 3 points there at home. It's going to be the same for both teams. We both won't have played any sort of football competitively for the past sort of 2 months. So, yeah, 13th of December. But unfortunately, again, it's behind closed doors. And then the following week, the 20th of December, we've got 11th place Sheffield FC at home. So again, 2 big games, both at home. And, yeah, because we're in Tier 3 category with the current pandemic, where we can't have supporters in. We've pre lockdown this one and this situation, we was allowed up to 300 supporters in at the ground. When the environment was great, we had a night game against Huddersfield that was well attended. And again, our other home Sunday game, Sunderland, there was a great atmosphere down there. And it's just a shame that we can't have it, but it's one that I sort of understand. And again, speaking to our COVID officer, we've got everything implemented. Hall Road and ourselves work very closely in trying to provide a safe environment, which we've managed to do. And we've had situations with our club and even the FA Women's National League. They've changed their policies even on the back of what we've done. So it's actually gone from club level, us, to feeding into the Women's National League and furthermore into the FA, where our COVID officers done a fabulous job in transforming their policies and procedures around what we're doing. So yeah, we just can't wait to get them back, really. And I know the players will miss the fans not being there, but they're itching. They really are eager to get back playing. I keep speaking to AD. The players back in training now, and you can just feel the energy from AD and what he's telling me about the players, and he's feeding off them. So they're all absolutely itching to get back playing on the 13th, and we've tried to implement and put things in place to accommodate. So, for example, we've sold season passes. We have season pass holders, and what do we do? Because obviously we're in this current situation. There'll be new supporters that will maybe want to see what's going on. So what we've done is we've spoken to our marketing team, we've spoken to the analysis team and our filming digital guys, and they've come up with a fantastic package that's available where supporters can get highlights of the game. They can get the match day program. They can get a certificate of support for our club, and they'll be entered in a free draw to win a signed shirt as well. And that's on the website, our website at hullcityladies.com to purchase for £6. Obviously, we'd like people in person to be there and experience all that and purchase the programs at hand and stuff. So we've put that digital package together just in terms of offering our supporters something, but also, just to let the players know that the support hasn't gone. That there is people out there who are looking for us to achieve and drive on with our goals. And and again, the questions that I'll be asking, what's happening with the season pass, and so they will get them for free. So all our season pass holders won't purchase them. They'll be sent out free match highlights. Like I say, the full package. So we're doing all we can, and being flexible in what is a difficult situation at the minute.
Well, it certainly is, but I will say that obviously with all the clubs like Hull City Men's and stuff, they have all the season pass holders, but these feel more the season pass holders for City Ladies feel more connected to the club, as you say, don't they? Because it's such like a tight knit community, and they make such a difference when they're in that small kind of like semi-pro style stadium. That you want the 150, 200 people there, and it kind of feels a little bit more personal. So obviously, if people want to sign up, they just go to hullcityladies.com and or you're on Twitter and Facebook and all the usual socials, aren't you, with Hull City Ladies? They can find the information out there,
yeah,
can't
that's right. It's a great time, like I say, to be part of, women and girls football as a whole. So, anyone who's listening and they haven't experienced it before, go and see your local women's team. It might not be Hull City. Go and visit your local team, and whether it be men or women, that is, even as well, and realise that the support provided to them. We've seen it documented recently. There was charges for these televised, Premier League games and so forth, and
yeah. Pay-per-view was like 15 quid a time and all that sort of stuff.
And there's a lot of press over that, and comparing that to your local clubs, and it goes without saying. I don't think that was personally. I don't think it was necessary. I think it's common sense that your local clubs, your local town or village or city that you may be in, go and show your support. It's so much more than just football. You can meet with your friends. You can have a drink. You can, meet new people. You can connect with the players. I mean, we've had supporters that have even sponsored players this season. I mean, we've got player sponsorships that, even go abroad. We've got international player sponsors, but we've also then got local sponsors, which, have come off the back of somebody coming down to a game, liking what they're seeing and understanding they want to support a little bit more and get a little bit closer, which, we do offer that. And it's a really good, feel-good club and family club at that as well.
That's great stuff. Listen, Danny, thanks so much for joining me. I think we've chatted for about 40 minutes or so. So it's I said 20 originally. We just enjoyed the chat, but it's great to talk about City Ladies, and obviously it's on a personal level. Me and obviously Rich isn't here with the conversation, but on behalf of both of us, the support you've given us since the start has been great. So anything we can do to further the ladies is obviously there for you as well. So I look forward to more chats and hopefully coming to games in the coming months and cheering the girls on, I suppose.
No, thanks for having me on, Luke. It's much appreciated, and I hope to see you soon once we're allowed fans back, and hopefully we can even our partnership, with yourselves there, we can further extend that. It's been difficult times for everybody, but hope everyone stays safe, and hopefully see everyone at Haworth Park in the near future.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed. I'll see you soon, Danny, and good to speak to you. Cheers, mate. Thank you.